Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Book Blather. If you're new here, I'm Dave. This is Olive. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? And we mostly talk about books. So it's been a few weeks again. Hope everybody's doing well. We went on vacation. We went to Jamaica again. If you've been around a while, you know our last vacation 2 years ago was also Jamaica. And we were posting shorts for you guys during that trip because we were in the midst of Hurricane Beryl. That came right at us while we were there. So no hurricane this time. It was a lot of fun. Kids went. My parents went. It was a lot of fun. Everybody was there. It was a good time. So we had a plan, as you may recall, when we were going on vacation, and we were planning to bring this chunker. We had this ridiculous idea that we would never read Don Quixote unless we read some of it while we had time on a vacation. I think most of you were probably laughing at us quietly when we mentioned this plan and mentioned it to the family, and they were all like, "What? That's ridiculous. What are you doing? It is a beach vacation. You take like easy beach reads. Not that's cool that you have this project, but you got to take like easy fun books, not a big project book like this." So we quickly backtracked on that plan. We abandoned that very quickly and decided to take some easy, quick, easy reads. One of which was Verity by Colleen Hoover. So yes, this is the old edition of the book, and I will get to that in a minute. So we took this book because this book first came out in 2018. So that's kind of like when before we had a BookTube channel, when we were first like discovering BookTube. And at the time, when we first discovered BookTube, we of course discovered the few people that we were watching were like the young women, that had like big channels. Those were the first ones we discovered, and so a number of them, everybody was talking about Verity at the time, and I didn't remember really what it was about, but I remember everybody talking about it. Then I saw the trailer for there's this movie coming out right in October, and the movie looked really good. So I asked my wife about it because my wife's read a couple Colleen Hoover books, and I said, "Well, do you think I would like this one?" Just because the trailer looks so cool, kind of up my alley, not really like a romance, right? And she says, I think you actually might like it because it's pretty disturbing. It's very dark. And so I don't know what that says about me, that's why she thinks I would like the book. So I took her advice and I read it. Incidentally, after I read this, I asked her, "Hey, I like that. Do you think I should read any other Colleen Hoover books?" And she said, "No, you're not going to like any of the other ones." So I guess the other ones are not as dark and disturbing as this one was. So we really like this. So I don't usually read romance thrillers. I don't read romance, period, right? And Olive reads, sometimes you read like the more spicy romance stuff, but she doesn't like regular romance either. But a couple of years ago, I picked up this book. I never looked for books like this, but The Wife Between Us. But just because I saw it at a used bookshop and it looked interesting. This is by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. And it just sounded interesting, so I picked it up and I read it, and I had a good time with it. I mean, it wasn't phenomenal, but it was good. This was about I must have talked about this book on the channel because it was just a few years ago, and we had the channel by then. But this was about there's a woman that's going to get married, and this great relationship going on, but then there's an ex-wife that's trying to stop her ex-husband from getting married, and there's a lot of back and forth, and so the book totally got me. There's a couple twists. The big twist that totally got me, did not see it coming at all, and so I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." I mean, maybe I should, but I didn't really try anything after that, and I don't know. Maybe we should try more books like this because we tried Verity and we liked it. So what this book, if you don't know, is about is there is a woman. It starts off right with a bang, like not a spoiler. It's like the first sentence. This woman is walking to a meeting. First sentence, she's about to cross the street and somebody's head gets crushed by a truck tire right in front of her, and blood splatters all over her face. So right off the bat. And so she goes to this meeting, and at this meeting, she finds out that they want to hire her to finish a book series that was written by a very, very popular author by the name of Verity. And she's got a very, very popular series, and she can't finish the series now. And you find out a little, not too far into the book, why that is, but they seek out this character who, what was her name? Lowe, right? Yeah, Lowe. Lowen. So they seek out this woman who's like a small time author to finish it, because they had actually, trying to think of what I can say here. They had actually, like, the husband knew of her work, and so, wanted to have her finish Verity's series. So she goes to the house, but the husband asks her to just go sort through the office, look through all Verity's notes, stay as long as she needs, so she can, see what Verity was planning and get her head into it. She actually hadn't even read the books yet. And so she goes there, planning not to be there too long. Of course, she stays a little longer than originally planned, going through all of Verity's stuff. She needed someplace to stay anyway, because she was having a little bit of a hard time. And while she's there to start doing this work on Verity's books, she finds something else that is very, very surprising. And what she finds, she ends up getting very, very invested in this other thing too. And what she realizes, there's a lot going on with this family and this marriage. There had been a lot going on. There's a lot of tragedy that has befallen this family. You find that out pretty early. But a lot of stuff gets uncovered, and a lot of stuff that she doesn't know whether to reveal or not, because it will very much change things. And that is about the extent of what I can say about it. But so she's there, and with the husband is there, and the son is there, and there's like a helper there, and I can't really say too much more than that. But it was very, very dark and disturbing, some of this stuff. And some you're not really sure. You kind of have some suspicions about what's going on in the background, but you're never really sure. And then, like, later on, there are some reveals, and there is a huge twist that is still not totally conclusive, but seems somewhat conclusive. It was really, really good. It was really, really fast-paced book. I really, really enjoyed it. Did like the darker elements to it. It really hooked you, sucked you in, and you were like, wow, wow, wow. It's a real, like, page turner. You wanted to keep going, especially with what she had found. And you're just learning a lot as time goes on. And it was very, very addictive. And what happens at, like, towards the end of the book is just, it's crazy. It's crazy. And the story is, it's upsetting and somewhat heartbreaking. And, it's just really, really good. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really good. Now, what I am holding here is, this is the older version. So this was published in 2018 originally. There is a newer version that came out in 2022, and that has a prologue at the end. And so in the prologue, I have to be careful what I say, but in the prologue you find out, like, what happens in, like, the following, I guess it was like the following year and a half, something like that. And so you learn a little bit, you get a little more insight into the couple of characters that, I'm trying to be very careful here, but a little more insight in the couple of characters that are described in the prologue. Now, before I read the prologue, I had heard a lot of people didn't like it, that it totally changed things, and they like hated the prologue. I think that was like general consensus. I would have to say I somewhat agree with that. The prologue took really kind of a little bit of a turn, and you finished this original main book with a certain impression of a couple of characters, a fairly favorable, even if upsetting, mostly favorable view of a couple characters. And the prologue totally changes that. And it's and I can't say more without saying more about the book itself, but I didn't really like it. The prologue itself, the book itself had, I mean, it was explicit, it was a little spicy. The prologue was crazy spicy, you know what I mean? So the prologue was just like a couple notches up in insanity level, you know what I mean? It really got a little extreme with these characters, kind of took them too far, was like crazy explicit. And so, it was like an extra 40 pages. So I wouldn't say don't read it. Of course, if you're going to read this, you're going to be curious about the prologue, so you're going to read that too. But it does kind of very much change it. I'm kind of like keeping that prologue separate. I'm glad I read it, but I'm keeping it kind of separate and not as part. I'm thinking of it as like I don't know, like a separate story, not as part of the main book. Because I don't know. Let us know if you've read this book and if you've read the prologue too. Not prologue. Did I say keep saying prologue? The epilogue. It was an epilogue, because it's about what happens after. Let us know what you thought about the book, and let us know what you thought about that epilogue, and if it jived with you, because I kind of had to agree with everybody else. So. So I don't know, maybe we not like I said, we're not into romance, right? We're not into romance. What's the matter? You getting a little sleepy? We're not into romance, but I don't know. Maybe we should try some other romance thrillers. If you actually know of books, if you're familiar with this one, you know of some books that are similar to Verity that you think we might like, that are really like real, not just a romance, but that are real like thriller and maybe like are somewhat dark and suspenseful, and let us know, because we might kind of open our eyes a little bit. We might try a little bit more in this area. So so that's it. That's pretty much our recap of Verity. So let us know what you think of that. So we are really behind on videos. We have a bunch of stuff lined up, so we will see you again very soon. But as always, thanks so much for watching. If you don't have anything substantive you want to say, you can always leave Olive a puppy emoji, because she does always like to see those. Right, Olive? So we'll see you again very soon. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.